Hi, everyone. Welcome to Dishing Drama with Dana Wilkie Uncensored. We have officially moved to Patreon. Here's a sneak peek of Dishing Drama with Dana Wilkie.
Come on, bitch, let's go.
Alrighty, let's get into this week's episode. So we're going to be covering some really fun topics. First of all, I have Freddie from Reality Diamond on today's show, and him and I are going to be talking about the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills trailer that just dropped. And I'm going to be giving you some insight into what's being shown in the behind-the-scenes gossip that's surrounding it, which I think you'll enjoy. And then Freddie and I are going to talk about Selling Super Houses, which is PK Kemsley's new series that just dropped finally. Oh my God, years and years later. On Channel 4. And this is supposed to be his version of Selling Beverly Hills that Mauricio Umansky has on Netflix, but PK's version in the UK. Originally, Mauricio was supposed to be part of Selling Super Houses, but then I guess changed his mind and decided to do his own show on Netflix, which he's going into the second season of. Mauricio, of course, is right now on Dancing with the Stars. Dancing, I'd say, less well than expected is the way I'd say it. Because, yeah, I thought he'd be a good dancer, but nope, not so much. Anyway, PK is got this show, Selling Super Houses. So Freddie and I watched the show, and we're going to be telling you about it. Boy George does make an appearance. Dorit Kemsley is in it a little. He definitely drags Kyle Richards in the show. I'm going to tell you about it.
As if.
And why am I having this conversation with Freddie? Because if you recall, Freddie casted for this show way back in the day. Him and I had done a show in the past about it. And this is where PK Kemsley called me a see you next Tuesday on his social media and dragged Freddie to some degree or another. I can't remember what he said to him, but he also called me Shrek. So PK Kemsley came up with all these names and said them to me publicly and all this stuff. And then Dorit and PK came for me because they said I was alleging that he was having an affair on Dorit in the UK, and he was incorrect. That was not what was said, although I described a story that I had heard that was happening in the UK, but I never said I believed it. And this is not to be confused with the post that I did of a movie poster with Mauricio and Dorit Kemsley that was actually a repost from a very talented creator that was calling out that the fans were all commenting that in the edit of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, at least in the last few years of seasons, Dorit and Mauricio seem to have some sort of chemistry. Yes, they're friends. Yes, they're like extended family, but they also seem to have some sort of chemistry that was coming across on camera. And the editors were definitely calling it out so the fans would see it. And I got dragged till tomorrow morning on that one. And Dorit wrote, like, I must be troubled and all this crap under my Instagram. Save it, sister. Anyway, we're going to be talking about that today. Should be fun. As far as some of the other topics, I was sent a reminder about Bijou Phillips. As you guys know, I did a deep dive on Bijou Phillips, really deep. And we covered it because Danny Masterson recently had his second jury trial, of course, which he lost. He was found guilty of 2 forcible rape charges and acquitted on 1 because the third Jane Doe was kind of a girlfriend, so it was very gray for them, whereas the first 2 Jane Does, because drugs were involved and they seemed violent. DJ Donkey Punch, a.k.a. Danny Masterson, gets found guilty, but he's appealing it. So anyway, there was a lot of interest in the Patreon surrounding Bijou Phillips because she's a Scientologist, and she also was married to Danny Masterson. She just filed for divorce. But Bijou is a Rosetta Stone of gossip, 100. And I had thought I had covered every morsel of the juicy Bijou Phillips stories. minus Paris Hilton's storage unit, which was covered in a different episode. And I forgot one that is so important that today I'm going to play you the evidence of that one so you can hear it for yourself. And before you think Danny Masterson's trial's over and put to bed, think again, because he's appealing right now. And Sean Hawley went out after the trial was completed and said this.
Obviously, we are very disappointed in the sentence the judge handed down today. However, for the past several months, a team of the top appellate lawyers in the country has been reviewing the transcripts of the trial. They have identified a number of significant evidentiary and constitutional issues, which they will address in briefs to both the state and federal courts. The errors which occurred in this case are substantial and unfortunately led to verdicts which are not supported by the evidence. And though we have great respect for the jury and for our system of justice, sometimes they get it wrong. And that's what happened here.
Now, what is she talking about? Well, allegedly, there is some sort of argument going on about evidence as it relates to the statute of limitation. And I guess they've made the statute of limitation argument before, not so much, I think, in regards to evidence as much as just the statute of limitation to do with forcible rape of the Jane Doe 1 and 2. And they lost. Actually, the judge said, listen, the minute you step into the realm of a second victim, there is no statute of limitation to do with forcible rape. But Danny Masterson's best in the country appellate lawyers have said that, well, that's all fine and good, but evidence related to Jane Doe 1 and 2 were held by the prosecution for a long period of time, and they never acted on that evidence, and they could have acted on that evidence sooner. And because they didn't act in a timely fashion by choice, Danny Masterson should be able to use that, in another jury trial where he could possibly have a better situation in terms of what evidence is presented and maybe win. I do believe Scientology is paying for his legal. I do believe Scientology is the one that egged Bijou Phillips to leave Danny Masterson to protect the assets that she has acquired with him over the years because of the civil litigations, which I'm sure will be following on heels of the guilty judgment he has, unless, of course, later down the road an appeal is successful. And then, of course, that might make them go away. It might not. Civil separate to criminal. But made me really think about sharing this Bijou Phillips gossip with you because, boy, is it telling. Now, that said, I have one other thing that I really want to talk about, and I kind of want to start here on today's show, and that is the leaks that have been coming out with Kanye West, aka Ye, in regards to his documentary that he's been working on that have some really shocking things in them. One of which is Corey Gamble is a CIA agent. So I did a little dive on this because how could I not? And I want to share the findings of that dive. So let's get started. So in case you don't know who Corey Gamble is, it's Kris Kardashian's much younger boyfriend that she started dating in 2014 all the way through 2023. And obviously, Ye, while being married to Kim Kardashian, would have become close with him and maybe would have been privy to some details about him that other people wouldn't know, which is why we're giving this gossip the time of day. Now, this said, Ye suffers, I believe, from maybe bipolar disorder, which would allow him to have fits of mania where he could be delusional and make up stuff and not realize it on the fly. And if that is indeed something that he might have, then, all of this is going to be BS. But I thought it would be fun, at the request of the patrons who DM'd me about it, to see if we could build a link between Corey Gamble and the CIA, and also some of the other allegations that came out of this never released documentary from 2018, clips that came out recently or were leaked. I'm not convincing you of anything. I am not pro-Ye or against Ye. I'm just going to tell you the story and mainly center it on how Hollywood has actually had a lot of interaction with the CIA, which is the fun part of this dive. Okay, so let me play you the clip. This is Ye. He's on the phone. He's like flipping through a magazine in some apartment or something. And this is supposed to be rough footage from a documentary that he hasn't released. And he might be speaking to Scott Disick. Some people think that's Scott. You'll hear his voice. Some people think it isn't. You'll have to decide for yourself. It's not clear cut. So take a listen to what he says about Corey being a CIA agent.
Corey said he was part of the CIA at one point? Or am I making that up? Yes, Corey is CIA. Like, he didn't even have to say it. I know it. He's fucking CIA. What are you talking about? Like, what fuck? Oh, this is my godmother. This is my this. He's Illuminati. That's why fucking Cardi B is over there. Cardi B is a plant by the Illuminati. She don't write her raps. She's just there to like sound as ignorant as possible, and then make songs like "fuck him" and you get some money. Yeah. You know, she just literally replaced, Nicki Minaj purposely. That they put her there, and now she doesn't know what to do, and she's just she has no idea what the fuck is going on. She thinks it's just a blessing from the universe. There ain't no blessing from the fucking universe,
But that isn't the only footage that came out, leaked from this 2018 documentary. Here is Kanye West complaining about Nas rapping off beat on the songs, quote, "Cops Shot the Kid," and saying he doesn't feel appreciated. This is him talking to Scooter Braun. The footage also captures Kanye West having a conversation about dissolving his Good Music record label. Now listen to this, because this was pretty astonishing. You guys will notice that I did a show about a deep dive to do with Scooter Braun, and in that same show, I covered Bianca Censori's Deep Dive 2, which is Ye's girlfriend, some people believe wife, some people believe, if you listen to my Bianca Censori Deep Dive, that she is a trustee or conservator that Kanye Ye put in place for himself for numerous reasons, mainly to block the Kardashians and also big companies from being able to sue him. So I'm going to now play you this footage. It's kind of wild because he's basically at some sort of modeling shoot.
It ain't gonna be in this situation. It's gonna be a get me out this motherfucking good music shit now. And Scooter ain't gonna be no, I'm still putting my name on this shit. I need to get rid of good music because I'm great. And guess what? Good is the enemy of great. The fuck I'm doing giving Wanna Love You to fucking Tiana? What the fuck I'm doing giving that Daytona album to Pusha? What the fuck I'm doing, bro? That shit that shit was 3 dark fantasies that I gave away. Cop shot the kid, Nas rapping all goddamn offbeat on it. Don't even want to shoot a video. They shoot the video, don't even tell me. These motherfuckers don't appreciate me. All these motherfuckers is trying to use me. I'm the greatest motherfucking artist living, and I can do everything. And I'm not being expanded, and my vision is not being expanded to what it is. I'm performing at other people's festivals and shit. I've been wanting a fucking festival. People not touring my shit. People saying I'm locked in a pump shit. I've been recouped. These niggas made fake black skinheads. I got the fake black skinhead. Marty Van Deer talking about, I'm sick. Ain't nobody reach me. Y'all boys better not fuck with me, bro. These boys better not about to play that black skinhead on Twitter live quick. And I know my life is on the line when I'm talking. But I know ain't nobody gonna touch me because I'm too high profile. I'm not Triple X, so y'all can't take me out. But I bet you I get off my motherfucking publishing. I bet you I get my motherfucking festival. And I bet you I get off of Universal. And I bet you y'all don't talk to Adidas again.
So it sounds to me like Scooter Braun was trying to do a similar thing that he did in 2020 with Taylor Swift's Big Machine Masters. And so Ye was trying to sell, I guess, the masters for good music. By the way, it's GOOD music, okay? I'm just saying good music's, the acronym is Getting Out Our Dreams. As far as I can tell, Def Jam Records, Universal Music Group, and Kanye had most of their relationships expire in 2021. So it just seems like it ended, and I guess all of the assets of music within that record label are just sitting there. I can't really tell what happened. It's not clear, or maybe Scooter's still trying to sell them. So you first asked me to look into Corey Gamble and whether or not he really is a CIA agent. Well, as far as we know, Corey Gamble is a music producer, or even, let's say, a musician handler, although he doesn't seem to have that much experience with this. He did work for Justin Bieber, and that would tie him to Scooter Braun, right? So that's a little kind of interesting circle there. But a lot of people commented that Corey Gamble sort of came out of nowhere. Like, where did this guy come from? He doesn't even seem to have a background in music for very long. And let's face it, the CIA and the FBI for many, many years has used celebrity, having them work to get messages out that they want to the public to motivate them in a particular direction or idea, as well as to keep an eye on influencers that might be able to motivate or influence politics. I mean, think about it. Ye was working with President Trump, and then he was also running for president at one point against President Trump. He even famously asked President Trump if he wanted to be a running mate with him at some point or another. Also, Kim Kardashian and the Kardashians have had numerous influence in the political sector as well. So that could make a viable reason for why, if you want to believe Corey Gamble could be working with or is part of the CIA, I guess it could be true. There's no bigger influenced family than the Kardashians. Whether you love her or hate her, Kim Kardashian has 362 million followers. That's approximately the United States of America population. If I was the CIA or FBI, I'd be definitely taking a look at what Kim Kardashian was doing on a regular basis because she's so powerful. Corey Gamble went to Morehouse College in Georgia. That's an all-black male college. But this college in particular has had very famous CIA people speak at it. For example, Leon Panetta back in 2011 spoke to the college. That's the director of the CIA at that time, and spoke about how the CIA needed to add more diversity into their population. They specifically were speaking at this school, maybe to entice the students, that were going to Morehouse College to participate in the CIA or to apply for job positions there. Anyway, back at this time, Panetta told about 100 of the Morehouse College students that roughly 22% of the CIA employees come from a minority background. But his goal was to expand the number to 30% over the next few years. He said, "We can't afford to have a workforce of people who all look and think alike," he said. "We need the perspective of officers who have different backgrounds." The agency gets thousands of job applications each year, more after each James Bond flick comes out, Panetta joked. But the CIA officers and analysts aren't going to advance if they don't have language skills, he said, and proficiency in foreign languages will help students no matter what career they choose. This comes down to the security of this country, he said. If we can't interpret that kind of communication quickly and understand what the hell they're saying, then frankly, we're in trouble. Okay, so Panetta was reaching out to this particular college to spread the message that the CIA needed diversity in its workforce, but that just so happens to be the school that Corey Gamble went to, which obviously, if you want to make a very, very, very loose tie to him, you could and say, hey, that's interesting. I suppose you could also point out the many, many celebrities that have been followed, investigated by the CIA and the FBI, like Marilyn Monroe, for example, which if you do a simple search in the FBI FBI Vault, which is a website that's available to the public to search through, you will find all of the due diligence that they've unclassified that they were doing on Marilyn Monroe and surveillance on her, because at one point they thought she might be entangled in a love affair that had to do with communism. And not just one love affair, by the way. I know everybody automatically goes to Arthur Miller in their head, but in reality, there's actually way more than him that she was intertwined with that were communist supporters at this time. So then we go on and we cut to 2014, and there is an LA Times article that's written called Hollywood Figures Spied for CIA, book asserts. And this was written by a CIA director who decided to do a book about the CIA and his retirement. And this came out in 2014. LA Times wrote a nice synopsis about it. Washington. It's well known that Hollywood loves a good spy story, but what is also true, according to a new memoir by a former senior CIA official, is that movie makers regularly do some real-life spying. The CIA, this is a quote, has long had a special relationship with the entertainment industry, devoting considerable attention to fostering relationships with Hollywood movers and shakers, studio executives, producers, directors, big-name actors. John Rizzo, the former acting CIA general counsel, wrote in his new book, Company Man, 30 Years of Crisis and Controversy in the CIA. People might assume that since Hollywood leans to the political left, the CIA's relationship would be with the sort of conservative picket of Hollywood, Rizzo said in an interview. Well, that's not true. People one would normally associate with liberal causes has assisted the CIA. Alas, Rizzo is prohibited from naming names. They are classified. The CIA declined to comment. He did, however, provide some detail about the types of help the agency has solicited from Hollywood. At times, Rizzo said the filmmakers will be asked to allow a CIA operative to pose as a member of their crew, particularly if a movie is being filmed in a country where the spy agency has a difficulty operating. The CIA also recruits actors to give more visibility to propaganda projects abroad, such as documentary secretly produced by the agency, Rizzo said. And the agency sometimes takes advantage of the door-opening cachet that movie stars and other American celebrities enjoy. Well, I mean, look at what doors could be opened by the Kardashians, every door. A star who met a world leader, for example, might be asked for details about that meeting. The CIA has officials assigned full-time to the care and feeding of Hollywood assets, Rizzo wrote. Other former CIA officials added that some of those operatives work in the Los Angeles office of an agency department called the National Resources Division, which recruits people in the U.S. to help America spy abroad. It was going on when I got there, and it was going on when I left in 2009, Rizzo said, adding that the activities continue. Hollywood people are glamorous, he said. They get access and entree to people overseas that the U.S. government doesn't. Well, I bet they get access in the country, too, when needed. These are people who have made a lot of money, basically making stuff up, the colleagues said. A lot of them, at least the smarter and more self-aware ones, realize that what they do makes them ridiculously rich, but is also ephemeral and meaningless in the larger scheme of things. So they're receptive to helping the CIA in any way they can, probably in equal parts because they are sincerely patriotic and because it gives them a taste of real-life intrigue. Rizzo described a scene from years ago when one of the CIA's Hollywood recruiters came to him with the news that a major film star wanted to work for the agency after he found out a rival actor had been doing so. Now, this actor was offering his own name and services to us, free of charge. Anything he could do, just out of his patriotic duty. There was one catch, Rizzo's colleague told him. He wants us to score for him the best 50,000 stash of cocaine we can find.
Say hello to my little friend!
Rizzo's response, no way, forget it. The star helped anyway, Rizzo wrote. There's, of course, Sean Penn's El Chapo interview, where we may have seen this at play, although no one really knows. But there were definitely allegations that Sean Penn was acting on behalf of the CIA when he met with El Chapo in a very famous interview that he was able to do with him. And there's also all the rumors, of course, around Walt Disney and the establishment of Disney World and his relationship with FBI and CIA in regards to those things. But if you really want to get to a very solid example of Walt Disney even being involved with the CIA, you can go back to a New York Times article written by Herbert Mitgang, May 6, 1993. Disney's link to the FBI and Hoover is disclosed. And in one section, I'll read you just briefly, it says, from 1940 until his death in 1966, Walt Disney served as a secret informer for the Los Angeles Office of Federal Bureau of Investigation, according to documents that have come to light under the Freedom of Information Act. Details about the filmmaker's FBI connection emerged for the first time in Walt Disney's Hollywood's Dark Prince, an unauthorized biography by Mark Elliott to be published in July by Birch Lane Press. Mr. Elliott, who has written several books on popular culture, provided a copy of the Disney file to the New York Times so that information and direct quotations in the book could be verified against the government documents. Experience with similar FBI dossiers leaves no doubt that the material submitted by Mr. Elliott is authentic. So in this book, it's described that Disney has an ongoing rub my back, I'll rub your back relationship with the FBI. And this crosses into a multiple different influential things in what Disney produces. Sometimes it appears in allowing the FBI to make changes to Disney's shows. Sometimes it might be that Disney might offer up actors that he thinks are communist. There's rumors that he could have used these relationships to hide the identity of Disney acquiring all the swamp land in Disney, which originally Disney had in mind to be actually like a city in a sense. There's a lot of gray in terms of Hollywood and CIA and all this stuff. You know, yes, it sounds like Ye's lost his mind, but there is, I know, where he might be getting these ideas from. I mean, Corey Gamble's a little bit mysterious, and he does happen to be a much younger boyfriend to Kris Kardashian. Kris Kardashian being in control of all of the Kardashian children. If I was an FBI or CIA head and I thought I could get an agent to be involved with them in any way, shape, or form and also offer them security, and I suppose the best position to do that would be Kris Kardashian's boyfriend. But as always, I'm not here to tell you what to think. Okay, I'm here to just tell you some information. You ponder it on both sides. Could it be possible? Absolutely. You could also argue that he's not intelligent enough to be a CIA or FBI officer because you have to be really smart to get in that position. That was shady. Okay, so I really love the actress Heather Matarazzo. And yes, I'm adding a little Italian zing to her name. She was in Welcome to the Dollhouse, Hostel Part 2, The Princess Diaries, The Princess Diaries 2. She plays Lily Moscovitz, the best friend of the princess character in the movie. She was also in Scream and Devil's Advocate. And she's a really cool, kind of quirky actress. I really enjoy her. You guys will know who she is if you Google her name. Heather had a guest on her podcast. You guys will definitely know him. His name is Daniel Franzese. Daniel was also in a bunch of movies you guys would know. He was in Mean Girls. He was in Bully. He's the kind of gay best friend in Mean Girls. He's really lovable. There's definitely memes of him and stuff from Mean Girls, so you guys will know who he is. So they came together and did a podcast about Bijou Phillips and their experience with Bijou Phillips. And I'm going to play you an edited clip from the show. But what they discuss is that Bijou Phillips kicked Daniel Franzese when she was in a movie with him, mainly because he was gay and she's homophobic, allegedly, or was. And then Heather says that she was strangled by Bijou Phillips at one of the beginning parties of the film Hostel 2.
But like, this is something that like you and I had talked about privately well over a year ago.
Right.
And I feel like it speaks to a bigger thing in terms of everything that's going on in Hollywood right now, whether it be...
Yeah, well, you were just on my podcast talking about the Kevin Spacey scandal.
Yeah.
And this was like pre, Louis C.K. and all these other ones that we've seen.
Yeah, so now we've had Louis C.K., we have Brett Ratner, we had the exec of One Tree Hill, Mark, Google, whatever the fuck his name is. That other creep, Tom Sizemore. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I did.
And then you came out to talk about...
Well, Ellen Page.
Oh, yeah. Well, you set it up.
I'll set it up.
Set it up.
Just to, not to... this isn't like a publicity tour about this situation.
No, but
here's what happened, okay? So there is a ton of talk right now about harassment, and especially sexual harassment and rape and all these other horrible things that people in the film and entertainment industry have been subjected to. This doesn't limit, obviously, this abuse exists everywhere in every profession. But Hollywood is the one that gets the press. Hollywood is the glossy, everything's perfect. We all live underneath the shade of the cardboard tree, right? So recently they've been doing this, depending on whose side you're on, from like either they've been exhuming all of these like stories and getting rid of all the trash in Hollywood, or a witch hunt, depending on whose side you're on in the story, right? This is where everyone's thinking now, but everyone, no matter whose side they are on the story, is paying attention.
Yeah.
And I've been really emotionally affected by it because besides the story that I just told recently about my experience, there's so many other stories that I have to tell, as we all have a million.
Yeah.
Of things that we've put up with, that we were told to shut up about, that it's not cool to speak upon. And so Ellen Page came forward and talked about how Brett Ratner treated her when she was 19 on the set of X-Men.
I think she was 18.
18.
She was 18.
Okay, 18 on the set of X-Men, and said stuff to her, made her, before she realized who she was internally. I think the comment was, fuck her to let her know that she's a lesbian, or something like that she had to deal with. And it just, I had a visceral moment, Heather. Like it was in the moment. And I remembered, I have been telling this story for years. I tell this story to anyone who ever brings up the movie, or especially brought up Bijou Phillips to me. And I haven't seen her, and when I do see her, well, I hadn't seen her in years. Let's start with this. And then you and I went to brunch. And you also worked with Bijou.
I did.
Hostel 2.
I did.
And Heather and I were having lunch in Glendale, and she mentioned it. I don't know if you brought it up or if I brought it up or how it happened, but I told you the story, and even in more detail than I did on my Facebook page. And you shared some stories with me.
Yeah. About
your experiences.
Yeah.
Working with her. And we both shared other stories of other people who have talked to us about her. And right at that moment, people will not believe it, but right at that moment, hadn't seen Bijou Phillips in years, she walked up to us.
Out of nowhere. We were literally talking about her. It was as if we summoned her. Yeah.
She showed up and was like, oh my God, guys, hey, both of you.
Yeah.
Bijou Phillips harassed me on the set of Bully. I wrote a Facebook post about it. It went viral.
For the full scoop, join the Dishing Drama Dana Patreon. The link is in this audio description. It's only $6 a month, and you'll get the best information and tea about the things you care about, and even the things you don't know you care about. What are you waiting for?